This is being live streamed.
Talk show recorded live.
Yeah, remember that? God, that's a blast from the past.
Oh, now I need therapy.
I know. I'm just remembering that in my head.
That was
So
always
bad.
a crapshoot because you never knew.
That never worked.
Yeah. Oh,
But it's as iconic as what's the other one? Oh yeah, Audible is also.
Or
This
Justin
is
TV.
Audible.
How about Justin TV?
Mhm.
Isn't
I was streaming on Justin TV for a little while.
All right, just getting
kicks the
socials
llama-
done.
Definitely kicks the llama's ass.
Oh yeah, Winamp.
Oh yeah,
That kicks the llama's ass.
yeah, I remember that.
Llama's ass.
The llama's ass
Mhm.
for whatever reason. And just-
I do remember that one.
Oh yeah.
Winamp's still around too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
so
yeah.
they're it's more of a nostalgic app than
Mhm.
anything. Yeah. It's like WinZip.
Yeah, that's still around too.
just never
It's
died.
still around.
The one person who paid for it.
WinZip's pretty solid. It's on PC, so
Yeah, it's not needed anymore since Windows 7.
oh,
Oh, I'm pretty sure a lot of people still use it.
Enterprise still
Yeah.
uses it. I can tell you that.
Do they really?
Yeah, mine does.
Did they pay for it?
Of course.
It's crazy. Nobody else paid for it.
Yeah, that's true. PK Zip was the other one.
PK Zip.
Yep.
Yeah, no, it's been a while since I needed it, since Windows 10 kind of integrated it.
Do you
Yeah.
remember having to walk people through getting stuff at Expander?
Yeah, stuff it.
It's always fun. Just 52 gig.
All right, just finishing up here.
Let's see what is in the show notes.
That's pretty cool. Parallels has its whole thing now with CPU memory. It's like
I was playing around with it.
an automatic setting now that's different for the hardware.
A lot of good it's going to do you when you have an M1.
It said it doesn't really tell me what it used. It says I have 4 CPUs. I guess I did, right? This is 8 core. Yeah, so it's using half my CPUs and 3 gigs of RAM. So yeah, whatever. Cool. And no fan to
more.
be heard.
One more place to go.
It does.
Live.
What did that remind me of now? Some Disney song.
What's that?
What that sound?
What you were just saying was singing.
The sound was Windows.
The sound of
7.
music?
I said one more place to go, and somehow that
One more place to go.
Now you have me nostalgic for old computer sounds. I need to find You've Got Mail. So that I
You've
can
got
set that as
mail.
my
well,
one of my
This-
alert tones.
there's also uh-oh.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. What was
Uh,
that?
Oh my god.
Never mind.
Uh-oh. All right, I'm having a brain cramp. What's your Twitter handle, Patrice? I forgot.
At
Sorry.
casual kitchen.
That's
At
it.
casual_kitchen.
I was having
I
a
should
brain
really
cramp.
change that.
I got it. It's having a brain cramp here. All right. Oh, we got that going.
Uh-oh.
What was that? That was ICQ, wasn't it?
Mhm.
Was it? Yeah. God, ICQ.
It was.
Remember Call Guy was one of the ICQ apps for iOS. One of the first ones. There were a whole bunch of ICQ apps out there, and I think that one rings a bell. Call Guy and something else.
No, that one was an IRC app. But there was
Okay, get this back up recording here on Zoom. All right,
credit.
you kids ready?
Let's do this.
Let me start audio hijack. Looks good.
Wait,
All
we
right.
record these?
Oh my God.
It's like, no, Jeff, we just like to hang out. Like, what do we do?
That's what I thought was happening. You know, I
Exactly.
hang out
Yeah,
with
we're-
friends
Yeah.
Mhm.
Thursday morning, Friday morning, Thursday evening, Tuesday evening.
All right. Okay.
Pokemon.
We're at episode 173. And here we go. In 5, 4, 3, 2. Welcome to episode
What?
173 of start over again. It's almost as bad as underpants.
Sorry.
I want to point out it wasn't me this time.
I know.
Nothing.
All right, let's try again here. In 5, 4, 3, 2. Welcome to episode 173 of In Touch with iOS, a podcast that talks about iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, Apple TV, and related technologies. I'm your host, Dave Ginsburg, and my host, Warren Sklar, is back. How you doing, Warren?
It's a record. What is this? 2 weeks in a row almost? So
And
yeah.
then it'll be 2 weeks off.
I'll be off for 2 weeks, but
Yeah, gotta
I'm
pace
here now,
yourself.
so I gotta
Yeah.
pace myself. Yeah, it is. I made it from upstairs to downstairs, and that's my goal for
At
today.
least you're
Small
out of the
doses.
cave. You're out of the cave. Oh, those other voices here. We back onto the show is Patrice Brendamore. How you doing, Patrice?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm doing very good. Like, I don't know. Is this the third show with Jeff this week? I think it might
Is
be.
third? Oh yeah,
I
you had the
think
big
so.
show.
Yes.
You had a
Yeah.
big show
We have
today.
one more tomorrow.
Tomorrow
Exactly.
will be 3.
So big podcasting week for me.
Yeah.
No, I'm glad I could do this. Like, it's
No,
a
I'm
rare occasion.
Super excited you're here. Really appreciate it. And of course, the other voice, Mr. Jeff Gammett's back. How you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing well, and it's awesome to get to hang out with all of you.
Absolutely. And we are on the tails of the Apple event that's going to be on the next Monday. We'll talk a little bit about that.
Mhm.
Probably going to be more Mac focused than any other devices we talk about here. But hey, it's still an announcement. I'm still taking the day off. I'm still going to be podcasting, so it's always exciting to find out what Apple is going to talk about next. Don't you think?
You think they're gonna do a Max, like not iPhone socks or something like that?
It could be socks.
Oh, we
or
can
iPod.
live in hope.
We could only
We can-
hope.
Yeah.
we can only- or maybe an iPod Hi-Fi.
My,
Oh,
my,
Pod
yes.
cozies.
my feet have been cold, so
Warren's itching for a Mac. We know
I'm
that.
itching. Warren's always itching for a Mac until the end of time. I'll never be satisfied.
That's true. So, but we got some news, got some beta to talk about. We got all kinds of fun stuff, a few tips. That's what we're here for, to have some fun, talk about Apple and whatever else comes to mind this week. First off, I was actually thinking about this just as the show was starting, and my AirPods Pro were starting to crackle a little bit here.
I know.
Apple is quietly extended the AirPods Pro repair program that addresses crackling and static, and I was just having a little bit of crackling here. I'm wondering if mine are experiencing that. This was back in October 2020. Apple did introduce a service program to address that. It was causing them to experience static, cracking noises, or active noise cancellation problems, and they said they would cover the AirPods Pro for 2 years after the sale, which is good because my warranty's long expired at this point. Since I bought them when they first came out. Quietly, they extended the program, and there's another accompanying support document, and this is Mac Rumors article. And so I'll be covered until, it looks like the AirPods will be covered until 2022, which is a good thing. I just started hearing it, so I'm wondering if they're okay right now. But I might
Their
might
days
have
may
them
be
checked out.
numbered.
I might be checking them out here. So,
I haven't.
Jeff, do you have a pair of AirPods? Do you use those?
Yeah, I have AirPods Pro, and mine are not crackling, but
Yeah.
you can bet I'm going to be paying super close attention now.
Mhm.
I'm on my third pair.
Wow.
The original ones, they had battery issues. Then they replaced them with like a pair. One had the crackling issue, and the second one had was completely wasn't even crackling. The active noise cancellation was completely broken. So they
Wow.
replaced it with the third one. They're actually working right now. So fingers crossed.
Oh yeah, I haven't noticed any crackling issues, but I could be my brain. Maybe I did hear it and I wasn't sure if it was. Who knows? But like Jeff, I will pay closer attention now because hey, usually they're not going to go in and fix them. They're just going to give you a new pair. So I'm good for a new pair. Maybe I'll tell them if they're crackling even when they're not, because like if it's intermittent, whatever.
Yeah.
Right. And
Well, they do have some kind. I know from the last time, and they do have some kind of test they can run.
Did I?
Yeah. So,
but is it?
they could.
Yeah, I mean the question is if it happens constantly or if not, and if it's at certain volumes, different heavy. I know like other headphones and speakers, heavy bass will do things like that, and it depends on what you're listening to. But yeah, so far I'm very happy with my AirPods. No, I haven't had any issues, and the new features are kind of neat. That they're doing too. So yeah,
I was pleasantly surprised when the update, and I watched the morning show and Ted Lasso, and going moving my head around from side to side. I was like, oh, where am I? Because given that spatial audio, I was like, holy cow! It was pretty awesome. So they really have done some good enhancements on it. But they're not for everybody. I know some people say they don't fit my ears. They're horrible. I'm like, okay, then move on. There are plenty of other earphone devices that you could get, and they might work for you. So
I think I got the memory foam tips when I first.
Yeah, that's what I'm using on mine. I found this. It was a Chinese company that was.
It was like $9, $10. Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
I've left them in there, which indicates that I like them enough to not take them out. So, So if the tips don't work for you, those work well.
The tips not working is a pretty common issue.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I'm using SpinFit tips on mine because the Apple ear tips, they just kind of start walking out of my ears.
Yeah,
they squishy.
Did they have the hook? The ones that you have?
No, they actually look a lot like what Apple makes.
Don't open the case; it's gonna mess everything up. Okay,
those are cool. Yeah, those are pretty cool.
Yeah,
yeah. And they come in a bunch of different sizes.
Okay.
Yep. There's tons of aftermarket. So let me just stress this is the AirPods Pro that this is covering, not the AirPods. So if it's cracked, if your AirPods are crackling, no, it's not covered unless you have a
that's a separate issue.
And then we'll see Monday if there's a new pair of AirPods.
And that's the thing. Let's talk about what we think of the events here in the topics in just a bit here. Next story here. There was a rumor here. This was on Mac Rumors, of course. Apple to cut iPhone production goals by as many as 10 million units due to chip shortages. Ongoing chip shortages faced by the tech industry are affecting production of the iPhone 13 models. According to a report in Bloomberg, Apple is expected to cut the 2021 iPhone 13 production as many as 10 million units because of the shortages. In the final 3 months of the year, Apple was planning to produce 90 million iPhone 13 models. That just blows my mind. But Apple's manufacturing partners have been informed that the totals will be lower because Broadcom and Texas Instruments are unable to deliver enough components. So I would say this is a very much of a possibility. Again, there's rumor, and they're questioning whether or not this is in fact the case. I mean, there's chip shortages everywhere. Look in the automotive industry, can't deliver cars. I mean, so this could definitely be something valid. What do you think, Patrice?
I mean, it's not just chip shortages. I mean, there have been power cuts in China quite a bit because they had production issues there. So there's the entire supply chain is like so messed up. Like even if a factory can produce enough chips, they can't get it to the places because like all the all the container ships and so on are fully booked or are like like look at there was a story somewhere about the ports in the US that are like basically
Long Beach and Los Angeles.
Yeah, they're switching to 24/7 work because like they just can't keep up with the demand, stuff like that. So it's just an entire supply chain thing. So I mean 10 million units, not that much for Apple. I mean, you said 90 million. Like, so they're going to produce 80 instead of 90. Big deal. I mean, some people might not get what they wanted for Christmas, but
that happens every year. Someone doesn't get what they want.
This is true.
Charlie Brown gets rocks.
See,
it's true.
Yep. The rocks in his stocking.
Yeah.
Jeff, any thoughts on that?
I expect that we will see reports about how the iPhone 13 is failing because Apple had to scale back production.
Doomed.
Yes, yeah, nobody's buying them.
Right, and the reality is that Apple has to deal with the same component shortages that everyone else has to deal with.
Yeah,
and I mean, probably to a lesser degree, because one, Apple has pretty close relationships with a lot of manufacturers and is paying really well for that. So I think, I mean, that's why we haven't seen, like others haven't been able to produce anything at all. And Apple has been remarkably unaffected so far, or has managed at least in a way that we haven't noticed really. I mean, there was the Apple Watch that was pushed back a little bit, but it didn't turn, I mean, it actually turned out to be, what was it, 2 weeks? So it wasn't that much. So
no, it really wasn't.
When they introduced the phone from the time frame when they introduced the iPhone to the watches, I guess, right? So it's been about 2-3 weeks. Yeah.
I lost track. Apple Watch in stores tomorrow. Is that right?
They're actually in hand in New Zealand and Australia already. So
there we go.
They'll be in my hand tomorrow at
they'll
1
be in
o'clock.
his hand.
Yes. But anyways, as Patrice said, to the cargo ship issue is, I think, on top of that, I saw something on the news tonight they're saying everything's in their clothes, electronics, phones. I mean, there might be 10 million iPhones sitting off the coast of California right now as we speak, and it has to do with the truckers. Just not enough truckers to get the items to where they're going. So it's a whole thing. And I listened a lot about it, and they were talking about how this is it's like an on-demand economy kind of thing where you order, rather than bring more stuff over than you're supposed, to prepare. It's more like, they ship as needed, and it's been working fine until the pandemic. And, now we got these kind of things where nobody wants to work, and I guess the chip shortages are also due to, what are they due to? I guess they had some COVID issues here and there, so they had to close down the factories.
Increased demand is a big part of that.
So I haven't heard that it's like a natural resource issue as far as like, getting the cobalt or whatever they're using for the parts. But yeah, it's crazy. Order now. That's what I say.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and move on. This story was actually interesting. This is an Engadget. Google will stop trying to make its iOS apps look like Android apps. We talked about this earlier this week. Google says it will phase out its material design interface elements within the iOS apps in favor of Apple's own UI kit. The company's iOS design chief announced the change on a Twitter thread, and it was spotted by The Verge, and they found this. Patrice, you being the programmer that you are, the developer, what is material design, and why would Google decide to abandon this?
I mean, material design is basically, it's the design that that you're seeing right now, since we're using Google Sheets for the show notes, or like all the Google apps are using. It's like where the plus button to create something is the bottom right. It's a very iconic design. It's actually a very good design. But the problem is that, I mean, from a development perspective, like many big companies, Google spent a crazy amount of time trying to make iOS look like Android, because they wanted to have the same design across all their apps, which, I mean, I can understand from like a, let's say, usable UX perspective to say, well, I want my own brand language to come across. But it's, I mean, how many people actually switch between those apps? Very few. Like who switches from I don't know, uses Gmail on iOS and on Android? It's very few people. Most people use one thing and expect it to work. And the big problem that Google had, I mean, aside from like investing a lot of time and wasting a lot of time on it, is that whenever Apple changed something, a lot of times Apple is very smart at like introducing something and making it very easy for developers to switch to it, or even automatic, where it's like they introduce a new feature, something, the background. And if you're following or mostly following what Apple is recommending, then it just works out of the box. It's like, I don't know, there's a, like with Catalyst, there's a checkbox, you check it, and for the most part, you're done. And Google couldn't do that because they have so much custom code that they had to basically redo everything. And that's why like it took Google forever to do like multi-window support on iPad OS and so on. Like sometimes it took him years. It was like people were joking about it. It's like when is going to like how long is it going to take Google to do something that Apple introduced in iOS 12? And it's usually 2 to 3 years. And yeah, that's why they're doing this. People don't care. People don't care that it's Google design. They get confused by it sometimes even. So let's not do it.
Crazy.
Let's not waste time on it.
Any thoughts on that, Jeff?
I think Patrice's wrap up of this was spot on.
Yeah.
I think another aspect of this is that Google's looking at how many resources they have to pump into hand coding an interface where it's been given to them for free. So they'll be able to save a lot of money in man hours and just overall development by adopting the tool or the interface elements that Apple has put there for developers.
Yeah, and I mean, don't forget, it's probably not Google's main platform. I mean, at this point, I mean, that's Android, both on developing Android, but also the Google apps on Android. So, I mean, Google doesn't want to spend too much time on a competitor's platform. Simple as that.
Yeah, that's true. Any thoughts, Warren?
No, I'll hold judgment until I see what the new Google apps look like, and we'll go from there. But
yeah,
I think probably they want to make it more natural to iPhone users, and you know, that's a good thing for them, because I mean, a lot of things are still, you know, Google based in iPhone, right? The default search is still going to Google, and the there's something else I thought that was going to Google, but maybe not. The
no, it's only search.
No, it used to be what the Weather Channel used to go. The weather used to go to somewhere else, and then Siri used to go to Wolfman Alpha. But yeah,
and Maps at some point.
And Maps was before they kind of did their own thing. But yeah, the more I think the more Google could just feel like it's integrated into an iPhone, the happier they'll be. So so people just, you know, start using it without really even noticing they're using it.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, another thing I just thought of, maybe Google has decided to take a page from Microsoft's playbook, because Microsoft invests a lot of money in creating quality tools for the Mac, even though that's a direct competitor. And they decided that it's more important to be everywhere than to have everyone just on Windows. And maybe Google is looking at their tools in the same way, you know, just make them appealing everywhere as opposed to just on Android.
Yep, that's for sure. It's definitely going to be interesting. And Google really has to know, you know, iOS is a dominant operating system at this point in time here, and need to stay up with it. That's for sure. So next story here. My favorite app before everybody thought it got Sherlocked is Luna Display. this is a 9 to 5 Mac. Luna Display can now turn your iPad into a secondary display for a Windows PC. Now, don't we get too excited about that here, but there are plenty of Windows users out there that have been always kind of jealous that we can use iPads as second screens on Macs, whether it be through Sidecar or through Luna Display. I mean, amazing that this little adapter right here I'm showing on camera is the Luna Display connection that allows it to be able to easily hook over it, and including the Luna Display, the second display you can use for another. Like I have that software installed on my Mac Mini that can extend as well. But this version 5.0 was released this week, and you now can use your iPad as a second display on your PC. And they re-architected the app so it supports both PCs and Macs, with and then adding a new Luna Display HDMI unit. So they're really looking to expand on a lot of this stuff here, and I'm excited to see that. And we're seeing this all the time. And we've talked about 1Password and going Electron, and a lot of these other app developers are going to a universal type of platform. Well, here we are with Luna Display too. Warren, what do you think?
Yeah, you convinced me to get it. Remember? So I got the Luna Display a years ago, and then that was before Sidecar came out. But yeah, they started playing with the Windows thing a while ago, about a year ago, called Project Blue, and Project Blue was basically the Windows version. And I did play with it for a while during the betas. And the iPad, it does more than Sidecar does, because you can use. Luna will allow you to use pen input on the iPad when it's the second display. It will allow you could actually drive it from the iPad too, which you can't do with Sidecar. But obviously this week when the new version came out, I installed it. But I have a Surface Studio laptop, which I got fairly cheap and I like, so I put it on there. Had a little problems here and there, but in any case, you could also use a Mac as a second display with Windows. That's there's a Mac app too. So I had
Luna secondary.
I had my Windows laptop and my Mac Air, and I was switching back and forth, and it was good. I'm a little bummed out that happened. I sold my iPad Pro for an iPad Mini because now it's this tiny second screen, but I'll survive. I will survive. Yeah, so
I have to laugh, you Warren. I'm sorry.
I'm still happy with my purchase, so we'll talk about that.
We'll talk about it. Yeah. Patrice, have you used your iPad as a secondary device?
I've used it for. I mean, I've used Sidecar here and there. Luna Display makes a lot of sense, especially given that, if you look at the numbers, like how many iPads have been sold and how many Macs are in use, we know that there are a lot of iPads in households that still use PCs probably. So, it makes sense for them to do something like that. Like, go where the people are. And if someone is using a Windows PC for whatever reason, because they like it more, doesn't matter. Like, you can still use an iPad. Like, why not?
Oh, everybody's so excited about Windows 11. So
it's a quality operating system, but a lot of people, Luna made a whole big blog about being Sherlocked and how they were going to get through it. And like the guy kept going, and and here basically he is. It's still there. I don't if you have a Mac and an iPad, Sidecar is going to be free, and I would do that. But if you have a Windows computer and want to play around with it, then it works. It works fine. And I think it's on sale now. They have it 30% off if you buy the adapter right now. So.
Nice.
Jeff, any thoughts on the Luna Display? Have you used it before?
I have the Luna Display. I even had one of the prototypes.
Okay.
And so that's stashed away somewhere because it's kind of cool because it's
nostalgia.
It's nostalgia. I use Luna Display not as often as I used to because Sidecar. But I look at Luna Display in the same way that I look at tools like 1Password and Text Expander, where there's something built into the system that does that thing. But for people that want more than what Apple gave you, which is just the basic, then you go to third parties. And Luna Display totally fits into that category. So if I'm doing something where I really need more out of my iPad as a second display than I can get from Sidecar, then I just pop in the Luna Display adapter. And one of the things that I like about it, on top of all that, is the fact that it registers as a display. So your Mac will feed it video that's coming from the high-powered video card.
Right. Great. Yep.
So yeah, I figured this is what was going to happen, that they'd go in on Windows.
They had to. I mean, all these other Mac-centric developers are doing it, so
until Windows 11 Sherlock's them too at some point. But you never know.
Yeah, we'll see.
With a tool like that, you kind of have to expect that.
Yeah.
If it's at all useful, because it's very easy for a manufacturer to put that into the operating system.
Yeah, and there's there's Duet Display and a few others that don't require the actual. There's another one, a few other ones, Splash Top. So it doesn't really, require the adapter, but the adapter is what gives you the hardware acceleration for the. Basically, it's a wireless HDMI adapter, more or less. So no, it's good. Just the Sherlocking is just a whole crazy thing. Like the Windows 11 is about to get the Android App Store. The BlueStacks is going to be Sherlock because that's what they do. So we'll see how that goes.
Yep. All right. Next story. I'm sad Ted Lasso is now done. The season finale was last week.
I
so
finished. Yes.
You did finish. Good.
Very sad.
Very sad, but it'll be back for season 3. I can't wait. And be about a year from now. But we can go back and rewatch the shows because that's how I always do with Ted Lasso. And just get smile all over again watching each episode. Jon Stewart, he came back. And he's got a show on Apple TV Plus that premiered a couple weeks ago. It's called The Problem with Jon Stewart. It took the top spot as Apple's most viewed unscripted series. And Jon Stewart's new series is now, like I said, it even surpassed the Oprah conversation. And of course, Oprah, she's going to be
I was going to say,
here.
Isn't this the only unscripted series Apple has? But I guess not.
No, they have a bunch of others.
A few others. And then. Yeah, every episode, like the Daily Show fame, where he's from, he sat down with some guests and discussed a single issue. It was an interesting format, and the reason I just wanted to bring this up because it's an Apple TV Plus, and I'm just seeing more and more of the content on Apple TV Plus. Just excites me. It really does. And it was a great episode that he talked about the problem with war veterans and health issues and how badly the veterans are not taken care of in health and all that. And so, Jon Stewart always has had some great stuff. Not everybody likes him, but I think I enjoyed it. So I can't wait to the next episode. I believe it's going to be out as we record this week. So what do you think, Patrice?
The Apple is definitely stepping up their game. Apple TV Plus wise, I've looked at. Not just what Apple announced during the last Apple event, where they showed like what's coming up in the fall, and that was like not every show is for me for sure because people have different preferences, but a lot of them looked very exciting. And is every single one of them gonna be awesome? Probably not. There's always like some shows look great and then they turn out to be not so great. But so far, Apple has had a pretty good catalog.
They really have.
It's not just the top things like Ted Lasso and The Morning Show and so on. Dickinson was like a surprising one for me. There's so many good shows. Like it's becoming more and more an issue of discovering all of them. I have not watched The Problem with Jon Stewart because while I saw the trailer, I completely forgot about it because there's so much content right now that it's hard to keep track of it.
Yeah, for sure. Jeff, any thoughts on Apple TV Plus?
Well, Patrice, you said Apple's stepping up their game.
Mhm.
And I don't think that's exactly accurate. I think Apple's been
No?
playing a long game
Oh yeah.
and a very calculated game.
Mhm.
So it's not that they're really stepping it up. I think this is just part of the natural progression, and what we're seeing is that they have some shows
Mhm.
that are performing even better than expected. Because
Yeah.
Apple doesn't want to have duds.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. It's not really stepping up, but they have. Let's phrase it that way. They've had a pretty good radar for good shows.
Yes. Well, they
I mean,
hired
for
the
sure.
right people to make that happen.
Exactly. Yeah, and have the right contracts and the right money and all of it. Like they've had very few duds. I mean, there's one here and there, but most shows are pretty decent. And if you
Mhm.
look at Netflix or a lot of the other platforms, that's not the norm.
No, they're pumping out volume,
Mhm.
knowing that they will have some things that are hits,
Mhm.
whereas Apple is looking just for the hits.
Yeah, and I mean that's pretty hard because I mean I think on Fake Doctors, Real Friends, Zach Braff talked about that recently. That especially as an actor, but even if you're producing, you produce something and you have no idea if it's like, even if you're totally 100% convinced this is like gonna be the best show ever, you have no idea if it's gonna work. Like it might be the best show ever that you've ever produced and the best budget and everything, and it completely flops because like wrong timing or something just didn't click.
Mhm.
So Apple, I don't know how they're doing it, as you said, right people, but
Yeah.
they've been pretty good so far.
So far.
And I think they've had a little bit of luck with timing, like Ted Lasso, season 1.
Yeah.
There's no way that they could have had better timing than they did.
Yes.
And that was out of their control.
Right.
Yeah, it's
The
true.
world needed it.
Yes.
Yeah. We did. We did. So Apple TV Plus keeps going on. We're going to be more excited as more stuff comes out on the platform, and we'll be talking about it. Last story. This is an Apple insider. How an AirTag owner used it to find their stolen vehicle. An Apple AirTag. What's that?
Isn't that what it's for? I mean,
Exactly.
No,
I don't
actually,
understand.
It's
I don't
finding
understand the
dogs
story.
and cars, right?
These are keys, but not really
you
a
can put it in
car.
anything,
But
right?
well, you could.
I have one in my
Apple-
car.
Apple actually says that is not supposed to be used to find stolen anything. So
Right.
Well, yeah.
Well,
Well,
in
they
this
don't want
case-
you. They don't want you putting it on other people's stuff. And I read some of the comments of how the person who stole the car didn't realize the tag was there.
They had
It's
forgotten.
supposed-
So
it's supposed to alert you or something like that. But
and they even say the AirTag owner who had their car stolen was able to retrieve it despite the alleged thief finding and ditching the AirTag. They found it,
right.
supposedly, and it goes through and talks about how found his car was gone. Actually, this was in Chicago, believe it or not. I'm reading this article here, so
what did you do, David?
I had nothing to do with it. But once the
Stick to
AirTag
that
was marked
story.
lost. Yeah. Once it was marked as lost, he received a notification that it had been found in a Chicago suburb. About 10 minutes later, he called the police and explained the situation. When their officers arrived, they didn't find the vehicle. It was in a Walmart parking lot that the AirTag had been located in. So he searched for the AirTag, and it was underneath a parked car. So obviously they ditched it. So he waited a while, and they gave up hope just about and just before he left on how he saw the stolen car turn back into the parking lot. So, and he says they would not have found that car if it wasn't for that. So there was kind of it kind of got him where he was. So it put him in a place where the car ended up being, and he was able to track it back later.
Got lucky.
So it was instrumental in finding the car, but it was not the sole tool used.
No, but it helped. Just like the other article they mentioned too is about they had were able to recover a swipes electric scooter that had a pair of well hidden AirTags. So no, the AirTags have coming through a lot in a lot of ways. One of the things that I'm getting used to with iOS 15 is, and I think you probably can disable it, is anytime I walk away from my device, whether it be a keys, my backpack, you get the Find My notification. Hey, you left your device here, and I get scared. I'm like, what are you talking about? Oh, yeah, that's where I am. I just walked away because I had to go into the store.
Yeah, you can. I mean, you can disable that entirely. You can also tell it to not notify it if it's at home, for example, or at a certain location. Doesn't really matter.
Right. Yeah, but this time it was like I was at a restaurant, I was at the park, I walked away from it from wherever. So yeah, but no, I'm not complaining. That's a great way of making you think about the whatever what device the tag is attached to.
I have them. I have them on my dogs, and every time.
And his dogs. We've talked about that.
It tells me about it, and I get sad that I'm leaving my dogs alone. So
I was just traveling with them for the first time. Travel, the thing that we haven't been doing for a while.
That thing.
That sounds.
And
dreamy.
it was super helpful. I mean, one, you knew where your stuff was. Like I put it like in my purse and on my keys and in my my suitcase at one. And at the airport, it like one thing I didn't really expect, but where it was helpful was like the baggage claim.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you always have that problem where it's like which one is mine? And I mean, you might be able to recognize it, but I just took out my phone. I was like, oh, it's this one. Like it's just coming up. You knew, like you even knew that it I could tell that my luggage was with me because like even on the plane, it was still registering it.
Yeah.
Like not in the air because like airplane mode, but like
when it first came out, I did it too, and I was traveling with my wife, and I'm telling my wife like it's look the luggage, it's pointing, and my wife is like, just shut up, I don't care.
Your wife is so patient and so
she is.
You need to buy her really nice presents.
Yes. And not Apple Tech. She doesn't care.
No, but I got her to the iPhone 13 last week, and she got keys, and she's going all MagSafe, and she got a puck and all. So I made some progress. Yeah, it's going pretty well.
Very good.
All right, let's move on to the topics. This is a hot topic this week. Actually, this was a couple days ago since we're recording this. Apple just fixed a 0-day iPhone flaw with iOS 15.0.2 update now. It's very important that you run the updates on iOS. If you're on iOS 15, gosh, you better get on iOS 15.0.2. They came out with a 01, and then 02 came about a little bit over a week later, and they're saying that it was being used to exploit the attacks, and it was being used to steal data. You can install malware. There's all kinds of stuff that Apple discovered. This is a security vulnerability that's out there, and it does cause problems. So you got to make sure that you're up to date with iOS 15.0.2. But of course, many of us are on beta, so I guess it doesn't matter for us, right?
General word of advice: just keep your stuff updated.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially because when Apple rolls out these updates, unless they're rolling it out explicitly as a security update where they say, hey, this is what we're fixing, you don't know what security patches are included probably until like a day later,
right?
When they roll out their security advisory reports.
Yep.
Absolutely. So that's our public services announcement for today. Make sure you're updating to the latest version, please. And then beta this week. We are now on beta 4 of 15.1 for both iOS and iPadOS. They seeded it actually yesterday as we record this. And of course, you can download. I believe it's probably have already been released to public beta as well, but not usually delay a little bit. I didn't see
out,
it.
Maybe today?
Yeah. So, so they beta 15.1 actually added beta support for ProRes video capture, and I know everybody's very excited to be starting to play with that. And I hope you have a big sized iPhone 13 Pro, at least 256 gigs, which I do, and that you can store those 10 gigabyte video files that are only 2 minutes long. I'm exaggerating, but
not by much.
Yeah.
Not by much.
There's also an auto macro toggle mode, which they've added, so you can turn off the auto macro mode if you don't want to use it, because that was kind of a nuisance. People that didn't work when these are all things that pretty much have been on there as well. HomePod 15.1 beta is only invite only right now, so you have to be specifically invited to do that, because you really and then some people I would say avoid a beta on HomePod because you're having enough problems already installing the the release version. So Patricia, you run betas on all your stuff like Warren does, and what do you see? You seeing some good stability on your iPad and your iPhone?
Yeah, the iPad right now, I haven't. I think I just installed beta 4, so I haven't really checked it. But beta 3 Safari was really crashy. Like it was crashing on me a couple of times, like in a row. So they've been doing some changes under the hood. I'm gonna say in the next 10 days we're gonna see 15.1 public.
Gotta be.
Yeah,
I mean, especially with SharePlay. With
SharePlay and with like the event next week and probably macOS coming out.
Right.
It kind of lines up.
That's true. Warren, you see anything that you've been encountering?
No, just waiting for universal control, and it's still not here.
Yeah, I know you've been drooling for that.
I mean,
still not Monterey beta.
The presentation of it was cool. I mean, it's going to be the kind of thing where we see it and it's going to be like, yeah, that's cool, and then it's going to be like,
but that was kind of my hair actually. It's like, okay.
But I just want to see it at this point.
I think for me, that's actually going to be a game changer, because my workflow, I'm jumping between devices all the time. And to make it work well for me, I actually have to have my iPad at the dining room table, and then I just get up and walk to the other room and use that, and then come back to my desk where my Mac is. I cannot wait for universal control.
So you should be able to copy and drag files back and forth too, I think, is part of it.
Which will hopefully fix my my flaky airdrop issues, and I'll be able to sit in one place even longer.
I'm looking forward to that more so than the SharePlay kind of stuff. But
I wish Apple would fix the flaky iCloud, but that's a separate story.
It continues on. The other betas, not worth mentioning much. WatchOS 8.1. I don't think there really was much of any exciting changes. 8.01 came out along with the 15.0.2 update. So they fixed the flaw in the watch, and then tvOS. That's probably not worth mentioning anymore. I probably don't even put in these notes anymore because they really don't do anything with tvOS really. So again, as I always say, if you're not comfortable with running beta, don't do it. You shouldn't. Those who are listening, I think you're smart enough. Don't do it unless you really are smart enough to know how to go back and fix it later. Especially
if you're really crazy, you run everything beta, like apps and operating systems and stuff like that.
I'm not
caution to the wind.
I'm not going to watch beta. It's been hard not doing a watch beta for 2 weeks because I'm getting into watch tomorrow, and I'll put beta on it then, but I can't, but the restore is gonna not go as well from the current watch to the new watch. If you put beta on the new watch, it doesn't really like it so much. So.
And all right, so Warren, you just got the iPad Mini 6. We've been talking about it for the last few weeks now since it was released, and then you've had it in your hands for over a week now, right? And I wanted to hear your thoughts of is it worth getting it as a primary iPad device, or are you missing your large one? Tell us what you think.
I'm definitely happy with my decision. I sold the iPad Pro and I got the iPad Mini. And I had the M1 12.9 inch Pro, and I was gonna, I said it before, I got that because I got it before WWDC, and I thought maybe they would do a little more in iPad OS than they had done. and I've tried to do the switch. I've tried to do the switch from like not carrying a MacBook and carrying an iPad. And at the end of the day, it didn't make sense to me. I'm much more comfortable with my my MacBook Air than carrying around an iPad. So I wasn't using it. I wasn't using the iPad.
Yeah.
So the mini, I've been, wanting a mini like this for a while, and it's great. I'm still trying to get used to, the Touch ID thing because it's in a place where I don't, expect it to be. And you have to do a bunch of thumbprints on it because there's all sorts of different ways you could touch that button. So I've done that, so that's good. Yeah, no complaints. It's on beta. It's all got my pictures. It looks great. It looks, I don't particularly see the difference in performance between that and the M1 Pro I had, to be honest with you. So yeah, so far so good.
All right. Patrice, are you thinking about getting an iPad mini or are you holding off?
No, I'm definitely holding off. I mean, I might get a new iPad Pro next year. Like my current, I have a 2018 iPad Pro.
2018. That's what I had before. Yeah.
Yeah, and I have some issues with the keyboard now. I have the keyboard cover, and it's starting to. I think it's starting to go back a bit or something because iPad OS is telling me the accessory is not supported. So.
Oh, geez.
Yeah,
that's
and then it works for a little while. Yeah, and then it works for a while, and then like something is going on.
Is that the folio cover?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's one thing I'm looking for. There's not a good selection of iPad mini keyboards yet. They exist for previous versions, and I know the keyboard will be small, but they'll come. Yeah. And there's a few.
They'll come.
Yeah, there's a few off brands on Amazon that
they're single detachable type keyboards. They're not like the Magic Keyboard for the Pro.
Yeah,
but
I wouldn't even want.
Much.
Yeah, for that I would. For my Pro I got the Logitech one instead of the Magic Keyboard when I had it because it was thinner and made it less heavy. So I think the Mini would need something like that too, something very Microsoft Surface keyboard, like very flat and very thin. And basically just use it, here and there as needed. And I don't think they'd be able to put a trackpad on it. It's probably too small, but maybe a side mouse or something would be cool.
Yeah, Jeff, and you're still thinking about it. It's in the cart waiting to be purchased.
Yes, and honestly, at this point, I just need a couple more clients to cover the cost, and
makes sense.
And then I hit that buy button because that new iPad mini, that's exactly the iPad mini that I've been waiting for.
Absolutely.
That's what a lot of people are saying.
Yep. Oh, for sure. And then let's talk a little bit about the Apple event that's coming on Monday, October 18th, as we're recording this. A lot of rumor of it being Macs, but some of the stuff that we talk about, there is mention of potential of the AirPods being a releasing of the AirPods 3 during the event. We've seen these rumors before, like in the last event. Then some of them were right and some of them were wrong, and so you don't know with this. So because there was no appearance, like they say, at the September event. So you would think, I think Apple is ready to do some updates to the AirPods because that's a big market for them. It's the lower priced market than the AirPods Pro. So I would think that we're going to see. I am pretty confident. I think we're going to see that. What do you think, Patrice?
I've just been thinking, like, what devices or services has Apple not talked about so far this year? And there is a potential for something in the Apple TV Plus area to be announced. HomePod, we haven't had much.
Yeah.
Supposedly, I think the Siri on third-party devices is starting to ship now. I think Ecobee just released theirs.
Yeah.
So there is a potential for stuff that is not a Mac. But yeah, AirPods are audio devices in general, like AirPods Pro, AirPods are probably on the list.
I don't know about the pros. I would think probably.
It has been almost 2 years, so
they might surprise us.
Yeah, it has been almost 2 years. I think close to 2 years now.
Yeah, I think 2019 is when I bought mine.
Yeah, so there is potential for iteration on them.
Very much so. Very much so. So, Jeff, what do you think? Do you think AirPods? We're pretty solid with that, and we got Max. I think it's going to be another. I think
it's a Mac event. Yeah. AirPods, I give that a possibility, but not certain that we'll get new AirPods. Yeah. But if we're looking at stuff that Apple hasn't talked about a lot this year, we also have AR and VR.
True.
So they could have something else coming for that.
Yeah.
And if it was something that didn't need to have extra wires, well, unleashed. Which tells me that, Warren, they've been listening to you. So we're going to get a new version of AirTag for dogs, so that you can take your dogs out unleashed.
There you go.
I think they already have them. My prediction is it's going to be just Macs, two MacBooks. Yeah. I don't think they're going to do anything else. I think hopefully there'll be a big enough change and design change to fill the hour of the keynote. So I think that's what it's going to be.
They blocked out 2 hours for the keynote.
Well, they always do. Like they've always been doing it.
That's
an hour or 2 hours.
It's usually an hour. It's always 2 hours.
2 hours.
They've been using a lot of time on their keynotes.
Yeah. Well, 2 hours maybe. Maybe they'll put something else in there, but we'll see. It really depends on how much of a redesign the Mac is going to be, because you could only talk about so much if it's just really a processor change. It's not going to be enough to really fill it up.
Yeah,
but I'm ready.
Given all the chip shortages and so on, I think you're right. Like all the other devices like HomePods and AirPods and so on, they can always they could do a November event. They've done that last year. Or they could just wait until, what is the usual time frame? April? Like some in the spring.
Yeah.
April, May.
Yeah. So hopefully Mac OS comes out on Monday, and
I have a feeling it's going to be RC on Monday.
Yeah, RC on Monday, and then the week after
release candidate.
Yeah, I was wondering if it's going to be RC this week, because Tim has a habit of saying, "Oh, by the way, after this keynote, you can download the version of
available tomorrow."
Yeah, today.
Yeah, that would kind of suck if beta 4 or whatever beta we're on now, I've lost track for Monterey.
16, I know.
10.
Yeah,
10 just came.
If
it's waiting,
they're just treating that as RC,
the 10th beta.
Tell anyone.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
And then Apple Watch deliveries are, as we record this, have already been delivered in New Zealand and Australia, and Warren will be getting his new Apple Watch tomorrow. I think the rest of the panel has decided to hold off and not get it. What made you compelled to upgrade, Warren, to the Apple Watch Series 7?
I was getting, I priced out the trade-in for Apple, and they were going to give me $210 for my Series 6 aluminum, which is pretty good, I think. And then somebody online said, "I'll give you $250 for it." So I'm like, okay, I'll do that. So what am I looking at? 100 and change, almost 200 maybe for the new one. But the real answer is green. Green
color.
I knew it was just
green. It's green. That's the color I like. This is, my case is green, my watch band is green, my mini, I'm just green. I love the forest green is actually my favorite color. So I got the green one, and I had to pick a god awful combination for the watch band, because when people were ordering it, it was like, it would say if you picked a green band of it would be like December delivery, but if you picked the god awful orange thing that I picked, whatever it was, it says you could have it tomorrow. So for tomorrow. So I picked that. So I'm going to go there and see if I've read stories about people going and say, "Can I switch this color out?" Because I think at one point they at one point they were a whole unit, and Apple couldn't really split the watch band from the watch. People started complaining, and then they kind of separated where you could kind of do that. So
yeah, they've been doing that for a couple of years now. I mean, also since they started like shipping more options and more different bands and so on. And having the whole design studio where you can even like
well, people were upset because they would go there and like, they didn't like the band, and you had to return the entire watch and blah blah blah. So yeah, if I could get myself maybe even something white, I would probably do that rather than what I have. But if not, if anybody's looking for the marigold orange sports loop, just let me know. There may be one extra one that's not going on my watch. So
I mean, really, there is very subtle differences between the 6 and the 7. So that's why I decided I'm going to stick with the 6. I didn't upgrade when I had the series. I didn't upgrade on when the Series 5 came out. I had the 4, and then went to the 6. And so I'm perfectly fine with this the 6 for another year. Save my pennies.
Same. Yeah, I mean,
Jeff, I'm sure the same way, right? You're not upgrading.
If I can keep my battery in my Series 4 going for another year, then I'll get the Apple Watch 8.
Yeah, I would have done the same as Warren if I had to trade in as an option. But I also didn't like the colors. Like I wanted pink or purple, and they don't have that. So it's like.
Well, a lot of people are complaining about the colors of the entry levels, that there's not really a good neutral color, which is kind of true. But we'll see. I mean, there's some pictures already saying, comparing the two, and it does look a little bigger, and I'll appreciate a little bit more. Real estate on my wrist, I think. Hopefully.
Since Apple dropped the silver color, which really surprised me because that's your neutral color. What that tells me is people weren't really buying the silver as much as we would have thought.
I've never bought a silver Apple Watch, so
I bought
the first one because that was the only color, but
right.
Yeah, the first two I got the stainless steel
also.
Yeah, I used to get the stainless steels, the first 2 models, and then I'm like, this is stupid. I just upgrade these every year, and why am I paying double the amount for this material at this point? So I'm just going with the bare aluminums at this point.
There you go. All right, with the remaining moments we have left, I had a couple tips I wanted to talk about in iOS 15. One of them I found interesting was the ability to being able to drag apps from Spotlight to your home page, and it's pretty easy when you bring it up in Siri suggestions, and then you do a Spotlight search. It does result in just limiting to being able to open an app. But in iOS 15, it's also possible to drag an app directly from Spotlight and place it right onto your home screen, which means you no longer need to continually drag apps and app icons between the home screen pages to rearrange them. So, which is really cool. The other thing too is whenever if you remember in the past when you did a Spotlight search, the app was there, and let's say you wanted to tap and hold it, and maybe it's an app you couldn't find, you want to delete it, you can hold the app, and it actually brings up the menu, and you can move it back to the home, to the app library, or you can delete the app right from search. You weren't able to do that before. So I thought that was a pretty nifty a pretty nifty thing here. Other tip I had here, and I did not know you could do this until I found this out, is the ability to being able to take a screenshot of your Apple CarPlay screen. I have not realized this before. A friend on Facebook had posted it, and I thought that was really cool. Whenever you have your phone connected iPhone directly to your to CarPlay, and you do a screenshot, not only is it going to take a screenshot of the screen, it's also going to take a screenshot of your CarPlay screen. Yeah. And of course, those who live in Europe and who drive on the right-hand side of the road, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I could not even thinking of the fact, of course, that the Apple CarPlay is going to have the bar that's usually on the left in the United States, and other countries who drive on the right side, the other side
On
of the
the
road,
left,
is what I call it, and on the left. That's right. We're on the right.
Right-hand drive is on the left side. Yes.
That's it. So they move the buttons on the other side. So when you're sitting on that right seat, you can get to those buttons much easier. So, so a couple tips I wanted to throw out there this week, and we'll continue on with some tips with iOS 15 as we find them. There's just so many. There's so many of them.
Yeah.
Probably could do a whole show on them just alone here. And I'm sure you found a few, Patrice. Of
for
others
sure.
That,
like all the shortcut stuff and like focus modes and so on. Like I wish it was better on the Mac. It's even on Monterey, not much better, but it's good. We're gonna get it.
Absolutely. So, all right. Well, with that, we've come to a close for another show for this week, and appreciate everybody being here. And let's go ahead and wrap things up. That's a wrap for this week, and we are going to have you send your comments, questions, and suggestions to our email address, which is feedback@intouchwithios.com. You can follow us on Twitter @intouchwithios. We usually live stream the show here on Thursday nights at 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/DaveG65, where you also can watch past streams and listen to all the episodes. You can subscribe in your favorite podcatcher, including Apple Podcasts and many others, but better yet, just go to our website, intouchwithios.com, where all the links to all the ways to listen to us are there. I am Dave Ginsburg, and you can find me on Twitter @DaveG65. Patrice, I'm so glad you got to come back to the show. We just love having you on, and please tell everybody where I can find you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was it's always a lot of fun. So I'm glad I could do this. You can find me twice a week with Jeff, and at least in one show also with you, David, on the British Tech Network. Thursdays on the Big Show and Fridays on the Mac Show. Tomorrow there will be a keynote poker, so that's a special
poker,
thing
not
that we
bingo.
do. Yeah, poker, not bingo, exactly. That's a special thing we do before the keynote. Everything I'm doing, like all the social media links, and if you want to buy me coffee and all of that, like the projects I do, all of that, you can find on my website at thepatrice.com. And if you want to listen to people talk about food and food-related memories, for example, David's tour through Chicago's food scene, then you can head over to foodieflashback.com.
Great. Thanks. And Jeff, as always, love having you on the show, and tell everybody where they can find you.
Well, as always, it's a blast. So thanks for having me back. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram, JGamut, both places, youtube.com/JGamut for my videos. Tuesdays, Mac Voices Live, some Thursdays here with you and Warren, but also on the Big Show, and then Fridays on the Mac Show, and then wherever else I end up, because I end up a lot of places.
And Warren, where can everybody find you? I think they know, but tell us.
Yeah, here, there,
In the basement.
in the basement,
basement.
watching things on Facebook, talking to Mac to the Future group here and there. Complaining about things here and there. But thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Patrice. It was nice seeing you guys. Patrice, enjoyed what do you got, a day left vacation?
Well, a couple days, like 3 days. Monday I have to be back. So
Enjoy the rest of the vacation, and
will do.
It's good seeing you all. Yeah.
All right. And it's good that it was great to have you listen. I hope you enjoyed the show. We enjoyed doing it, and we'll talk again soon.
See ya.
See ya.
All right.
Yay.
Great show. I know we'd fill it. See
Oh,
you later.